lined up for Heat 1. It's a funny event this because it's going to take place over 3 days. The first moto today and 2 days tomorrow. And going into that first corner, well, you can see Albertine going really, really wide, but it looks as if Takamasa Takagi is out there in front. Billy Lyles has stalled, and everyone is going mad because there is a Japanese rider out in front. 3,000 spectators here. It's 25 degrees, and listen to this, 73% humidity. Hot or what? But it's hot stuff for the Japanese, being followed by Schmidt, by Puzar, who's making a good showing there, and Mike LaRocco is over here from the States, courtesy of Kawasaki, who are at least looking for some action and maybe some podium places in this last Grand Prix of the season. He's riding a brand new 1994 machine with special suspension. They haven't had much time to set the bike up, of course. Now, because there are less than 40 riders here, there's no need for too much time practice and whatever, which is why we can spread the event out over 2 days. So let's look at these front runners. We still have the Japanese rider out in front, and that is Takamasa Takagi. Donny Schmidt biding his time. I think he's getting close. That whoop section is very, very claggy. And then the other Rinaldi Suzuki man, Sandro, is in third place at the moment. Greg Albertine is way, way down the field and starting to work his way up through them at the moment. Well, Schmidt goes through, and Puzar will surely be just biding his time as well. This is this section, look. There's really only one line through here, and the riders are saying if it stays claggy like this, it's going to get really quite rutted. And you can see how difficult it is to overtake in these sort of conditions. Donny Schmidt got a pretty good start, and he's starting to really pull away now. Puzar won't want to let him get too far out of place, and Mike LaRocco making a good showing at this early stage. It's really strange to see one of the American guys over here. Stefan Everts, I have to say, had a disastrous start, and that's him pulling through the field. He's running down in the sort of 30s at the moment and carving his way through the field, 5 or 6 places per lap. Mike LaRocco moving up into third, and he's right on the heels of Sandro Puzar, who is having a very good end of season showing. But Takamasa Takagi is tired and is starting to fall back down through the field. Edwin Evertson, well, he actually had reasonable practice here. He got 7th fastest in practice. Galbertine making his way up through the field, and that's Mike LaRocco down. The mud proving very heavy for the American. Mike LaRocco is now pointing the wrong way with a stalled 1994 Kawasaki. Gives us a chance to have a look at that new suspension there as Kurt Nickel goes through into third. And Mike LaRocco heading off. I wonder if he rips off one of the peel-offs off his goggles, because a lot of mud here, and another rider, Johansson, goes past Takamasa. Johansson has actually moved up from about 13th position, so good riding for him, and through goes Bob Moore, bravely out there riding with a very special boot on his foot to protect the foot, but as you heard him say earlier, he can't stick a foot down there very much. And Fred Bolly has now moved up into 6th place, because Bolly, once again, like the others, has been working through the field a bit after a poor start. Donny Schmidt fairly relaxed then with that finish, taking the checkered flag from...
Well, it's not so bad. It's very humid and very hot here, so I think it's a good idea. But like in the States and in Venezuela, we had it also on one day, and it was also very hot and humid. So, but it's a good idea.
Well, it certainly has turned out to be a good idea, because it is hot. But the most important thing is it's dry. 30 degrees centigrade, 76% humidity, and they're off for Heat 2 on the Sunday, and this will be anything other than a Sunday afternoon drive. Look at Frederick Bolly, really well placed on the inside. Ever gets a really good start as well. The two of them going hammer and tongs. A couple of the Japanese riders getting a bit tied up, and Bob Moore taking it very easily through the pack there. But it's Fred Bolly out in front, being chased by Kurt Nickel in 2nd place. Everts 3rd. Alessandro Puzar got another brilliant start. And then some of the Japanese riders coming through. There's Donny Schmidt. There's Greg Albertine. It's really strange how Alex Pouzar is enjoying these hot, humid conditions. You remember he did in Venezuela as well. Another storming ride by Kurt Nickel. So these four now pulling away from the rest of the field. And what's really interesting is without Schmidt and without Albertine right up there in front, we're seeing some really close racing from these guys, as was proven during the time practice as well. Whoa, Everts goes through, just touches Kurt Nickel, who lost a bit of momentum there, but good exciting riding. He looks over his shoulder and sees the Rinaldi Suzuki man Pouzar coming around behind him. A great shot there. Pouzar goes through. Riley Fanton goes through. There's Donny Schmidt starting to chase. There's Greg Albertine. And this circuit providing such exciting racing today, as you can see Everts having a crack at Fred Bolly. Surely any minute now, Bolly seems to have found a new lease of life. Technically, he's a very, very good rider, Bolly, and this is a technical circuit, especially with all the whoop sections. And Tatsuyuki Motoki is out of it, and they wheel his Honda behind the safety of this netting. Well prepared, this course, although I don't really like those stakes that stick up in the air. Might get in someone's way. Whoa, and speak of the devil, and he shall arrive. Fred Bolly goes down, as does Everton. They've lost a few places there as some of the top riders go through. Bolly gets away. The marshals jumping around on the circuit, waving their arms in the air. Look at this again. I think it was Evert's fault. He just took Bolly out. I mean, no one's fault. That whoop section is very, very hard, but he throws some mud at Stefan anyway. Kurt Nickel in the lead then. My word. So things really hot in Heat 2 here. Pouzar is having the race of his lifetime with the other Rinaldi man behind him. So the roles reversed, unlike yesterday's Heat 1. And you can see Donny Schmidt in the background. What's happened to Kurt? Pouzar goes through, Kurt's left high and dry, and there's Schmidt. So it's Suzuki 1 and 2, and Albertine in third place. Kurt Nickel still can't start his bike. Got a problem in the back there. And Mikhaili Fanton goes through, so Pouzar second in the first heat, currently first in the second heat. Do you know that 10,000 spectators have turned up for today because the weather's so much better? Greg Albertine third, as you can see there from the caption. And all sorts of things going on down the field, because if you think about what the standings were like before, Malik Barefoots, for example, really hasn't done very well so far. Well, Kurt Nickel's just about got his bike going. Bernard de Vic goes through there now, just pushing a couple of riders out of the way. But with Pouzar doing so well and Barefoots doing so bad, it looks as if Pouzar might even be able to make his way up the standings quite a considerable way today if he continues this way, riding beautifully. Still with a bit of pain, you know, after his injuries, but look at that. Very confident and looking great. So, a brilliant second heat, and who would say that the final Grand Prix of the year with the top three places already decided would be boring? You daren't say that. Pouzar. The temperature is still soaring up there in the 30s and immense humidity. Well, there they are side by side again, 11 and 88 as we stand by for the third heat of the final round of the World Championship. And the action is soaring up there high too. Everton, obviously, as I was saying, he gets the first whole shot through. Oh, and a tremendous pile up there. More Everts, Nickel, Berverts, Takagi, Albi, all involved in that, and that's going to really affect the outcome of this race. Greg Albertine is not used to be standing around there on the first corner, but out in front they're going mad because it's a Japanese rider, Takateru Atsuta, in the lead. And they just love it. What a great shot that is as they come over some of these awesome jumps here. So Honda rider Takateru Atsuta, and behind him Edwin Everton, who got the initial hole shot. And you can see Donny Schmidt back there in the pack, and the dust really starting to rise here. So Edwin Everton, Albertine way down and starting to chase, but not looking happy. I think he's going to make his way back to the pits. Some problems with the brakes on his bike, and Everton is now starting to attack the Japanese rider. A few points here might protect his position in the overall standings, and it's his last opportunity to do so. But the Japanese rider giving us a good demo of Honda's new equipment for next year. Now, surely Everton is going to take his opportunity any time now. Getting closer and closer, and behind him, Talon Voland is having a good ride. Amazing how these guys come back from injury as Everton powers through, showing, well, Voland's having a crack as well, but just doesn't quite get the opportunity. Well, I think he's going to get it now, yes, and they're both clearly through. The Japanese riders were saying that they really ought to, have a look at that again, look through here. They really ought to sort their fitness out. I know one or two of them are looking for rides on the whole Grand Prix circuit. Oh, and Takamasa Takagi's down, and he was one of the riders I was talking about. He's being taken away by the paramedics. Let's hope he's okay. So Everton out there fairly clear now. But the fitness thing is something that the Japanese riders have got to work on. The Americans and the Europeans really do work hard on fitness, and that is Takayuki Miyachi, another one of the local riders, Talon Voland. There's Takayuki Miyachi chasing him. And right behind is Mike LaRocco, who's come out of nowhere on his 1994 Kawasaki. So Kawasaki certainly looking for some results on home territory. They haven't had a very good season. Pouzar mixing it up there again. Pouzar going through. He's in 6th now and climbing up. He's come all the way up from 13th position and riding like a demon. And could this be an overall for Pouzar? It would be fantastic if he managed it. He had a disastrous season at some stage, and LaRocco showing some supercross aggressiveness there as he goes through. Into 3rd position for Kawasaki. Greg Albertine apparently having terrible brake problems and doing another one of the countless interviews he's destined to do. Now then, this is where the action is, and Mike LaRocco and Alexandre Pouzar are getting closer by the minute to the front two. And look how close the front four are. It is quite extraordinary, the level of competition in this, the final Grand Prix. And I think Everton must be feeling a little bit weary. He's battled so hard in the other two motos this weekend. And LaRocco's into 2nd and challenging very hard. Talon Voland still 3rd. Alex Pouzar working out in his mind what he needs to do for an overall. But I'm wondering whether they brought LaRocco over and said, if you get us a moto win here, we'll pay you a big fat bonus as he goes through on the inside. Beautiful riding by Mike LaRocco, taking the brand new Kawasaki into the lead. And behind him, the battle is still raging. Have a look at this again. Absolutely perfect. Getting through the last 2 bumps on that whoop section. Supercross. Oh, Donny Schmidt is out of it. And a mere spectator hiding behind the pine trees. We can still spot that number 1 plate, which of course he won't be having next year. Pouzar is looking for a plate, maybe with single figures on it, but if he gets the overall here today, he's going to move up into certainly the top 11 in the standings. Currently, I think he's at 13, but let's concentrate on what's happening right here as he moves past Everton as well. So he's into 2nd place. I don't think he's going to... Oh, Bob Moore's called it a day. Bob Moore, tired, in pain. A brave ride from him. It was great to see him back. Donny Schmidt coasting into the pits. And Mike LaRocco, head down. I bet he's tired. Oh, there's my friend with the checkered flag. Goes airborne every time he waves it. And a good ride from Mike LaRocco. And Alex Pouzar, if my calculations are correct, is overall winner of the final Grand Prix of the year.